You've just been given a very bad diagnosis, or you've been told that you have a specific illness, or you find that someone that you love or someone close to you only has a few months, few weeks to live. What is truly, the impact of illness? People start wondering, what am I going to do next? What are my next steps? So let's talk about that today on Embracing the Fight. Hi, my name is Erica Lamar. I am your digital creator and host, and welcome to Embracing the Fight. So, why did I start Embracing the Fight? Well, it initially it was, selfish reasons because there were a lot of people, around me that were ill and no one knew, what was wrong with them and they were passing away. So then when I found out that I had thyroid cancer, I was like, you know what? This has to stop. We have to have a platform or a place to talk about things that are bothering us, things that concern us, especially with our health. Because for some reason, that's been, a really taboo subject because people are afraid that you will judge them if you find out what illness they have. And then, some companies will fire you once they find out what you have. And it's like the lack of compassion is just unnerving. So that's why I created Embracing the Fight to help turn it around so people could feel like, they could talk. Those folks that are committing suicide or thinking of committing suicide, all they need is someone to listen. They need someone to hear, their story. They need someone to, put those clues together and just truly listen. Once that starts happening, I believe those numbers will start going down. Or those people that are going into these places where they don't know anyone and they're just killing people. It's like, what if someone were to just really have a conversation with them and listen? What could truly happen in that instance? So that's why I created Embracing the Fight. So if you are listening today, I would love for you to subscribe to Embracing the Fight. Or, I never say anything about it, but my podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere that Libsyn distributes, my podcast. So you can listen there even if you're just riding down the highway and you don't necessarily, have a device that you can watch it on because I don't want you to have an accident. But if you're at home and you want to watch it, it's on YouTube. We drop a new episode every Wednesday at 6 o'clock. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, X. That's pretty much it. You can find me there, but the only difference is on Instagram is it's embracing the fight underscore. Now, let's just jump on back into what I was, alluding to in the beginning. The impact of illness. A lot of people, don't really consider, all the moving parts when it comes to someone finding out that they have an illness. Let's just say it's you. You found out that you have, cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, something that can cause you to lose your life prematurely. Once that is told to you, then the first thought that comes in your mind is how is this going to affect me and my family? You start looking at your finances, you start, looking at your insurance, you start looking at, where you work and the people that work around you. And if you own a business, you're like, I'm a key person. Do I have the right kind of insurance to cover, in the event of my untimely demise? So that in itself, is mental distress. And a lot of people don't want to talk about that. You have to understand that when you go through an illness, the worst thing that you can do is bottle it up and hold it inside because that encourages stress. And stress encourages or exacerbates your condition. So you want to be, as peaceful and as calm as possible when you find out that were diagnosed with an illness. All right, so let's say it's not you. Let's say it's your spouse or your child or a very close friend. You at that point are starting to imagine what would life be like without this person. And that causes stress. That's not something, that you literally want to sit down and think about like, dang, I know in a few months you're going to be gone. you started remembering all the things and everything that they ever meant to you all these years, and you just don't want to let go. You want to pray, you want to do all these, different things to keep them here. But all in all, we know that if we're born of a woman, that we eventually have to leave this life. But the quality of life all depends on how we take care of ourselves, and the things that we do. Sure, there are some accidents and incidents that we can't avoid, but for the things that we can control, as far as, eating right, exercising, getting enough water, enough sunlight, those sorts of things, we should really focus on that to help improve our quality of life. So the impact of illness when it's someone else and it's not you is worry, it's stress. It's something that you could potentially alleviate if you would sit down and talk with the person. Because you know what? I found that when people come on Embracing the Fight and they're sharing their stories and they don't know if they're going to survive or not based off of what, they're going through, they give me so much hope. They speak so much life, into their situation that it's like, why do I even feel bad about, what they're going through? Because they are consigned to the fact that their life is in God's hand, and whatever happens, they're okay with it. So sometimes the people on the outside looking in worry unnecessarily. And when you do that, you know what happens sometimes? Sometimes you become ill because you've worried and you've stressed. And we don't want to do that either. But then what happens if you are the person that, is left to basically work everything out? You're left to pick up the pieces. You're the one who's sitting here figuring out, do I need to get power of attorney? Do I need to, make sure there is a will in place? All these things. And it's like the person is just sick at this point. So the impact of illness takes your mind on a roller coaster. It takes you through many thoughts, many iterations of what can happen, to this person and what you're going to have to do to fill the gap. Or, like I was saying, if it was you, you're sitting here thinking about what is going to happen in my absence. Because you don't want to leave your family like high and dry if you're the one that is, the main breadwinner of the family. If you're the head of the household, then it's like everyone around you feels like their world is about to fall apart if things are not structured and in place, to help them. So, what do you have in place? Do you have like a will? Do you have a trust? Do you have power of attorney? Do you have the different documents, when you get ready to go into the hospital, if you need to go to the hospital? Like, do you have a living will? Who are your beneficiaries? Have you updated your emergency contacts? What things have you done to make sure that total chaos doesn't happen when you leave here? Because a lot of people don't understand that even though you may have a will in place, that it still has to go to probate in order for certain things, to happen. Now, if you have a trust, then everything's all laid out and exactly how you want it. And there's no one that could come along and fight or take anything that you've already designed for the certain family members you want to have. Sure, a trust might be, a little expensive, but it gives your family peace of mind and you know exactly your desires and where they are going to go. There won't be any questions. There won't be, anyone coming into the estate trying to claim anything. There won't be anybody, trying to go to the court and take anything that doesn't belong to them that you didn't want them to have. So even though that's not a conversation that people want to have or things that they want to talk about or think about, it's necessary. Because if you're ill, you don't know what the outcome could be. So why not do it while you're in the right state of mind? So when it does happen, you don't have to worry whether or not if my illness takes me out, what's going to happen. You already know. So I implore you, if you're listening to this today, first, yes, write a will. Second, make sure that you take that will and you have everything that you desire in it placed into a trust. Make sure you update all of your beneficiaries. You update your emergency contact. And then you make sure that you share the information with the people. I know a lot of folks will be like, wait a minute, I don't want to share, what they get because they might do something to me to take me out. Well, you shouldn't, really have people like that around you. You shouldn't have to prepare for something like that. But if you feel like that, sure, don't say anything. Don't let them know what they're getting ahead of time. Just let it be a surprise so they don't come try to surprise you, taking your life. So basically what you need to do is get your affairs in order because that shows one that you are, consigned to the fact that you know that you could potentially leave and you know that you want your family, to be okay. So there's nothing wrong with that. I know it's probably a really hard thing for people to think about. Now, a lot of folks are gonna be like, oh, that's just for old people. No, baby, people are dying from the cradle to the grave. There's babies, there's people that are teenagers, middle age. Everyone is leaving. So everyone should have this in place. And if you don't have a lot of assets, then, a will suffice. Even though, you still may have to go to probate, a will suffice. It will cover. But if you have, a home, a car, investments, things of that nature, you definitely need to get a trust because that trust will outline everything for you, even, your health care. Like, say, for instance, if you have invested, over the years and you have a lot of money put away and you want to have in-home health care, but then say your kids come along and say, oh no, we need to put, our parents in a nursing home. That trust, keeps that from happening. It causes you to be able to stay and live in the home that you've always known. And you don't have to worry about, strange people being in an area with you all the time when you could be in the comfort of your home and you can have a home health aide to come in to support you. And you can have non-emergency medical transport to come pick you up to take you to your doctor's visits and things of that nature. You can even have visiting angels, people that, that just come and offer companion care. There are lots of things that you can do, as you get older to make your life easier if you feel like, someone is going to throw you away. No one should ever feel, that way. No one should ever feel that people are waiting for them to become ill or to die so that they can obtain their possessions when they could work just as hard or just as smart to make the things that they want in their life. Because I think that is one of the greatest tragedies in America is when people see, their elder family members getting old or getting sick, and they start to think about what they're going to get when they pass on, rather than sitting with these people, learning more about their family history and loving them until they finally close their eyes. Because we all are going to have to go through this point or this place, and how we treat people, don't we think that in some way that it's going to come back to us? So if you're out there now and you're thinking about getting something based off of someone's death and you haven't taken the time to love and spend time with them, do it now. Don't be that person with just your hand out. Offer some hugs, call, ask them how they're doing, spend time with them. Don't just wait, in the shadows for something to happen so you can come up because money gotten by, ill-gotten gains or ill-gotten thoughts, that money doesn't last. All right. So again, if you know someone that is ill, do all you can if you're listening to this podcast to help support them to get their affairs in order. Sure, some of them may be, people that don't have children or don't have grandchildren and don't have a spouse and they're just kind of in the world by themselves. It's okay, to offer a helping hand to those people because what's going to happen is either the court is going to come in and take everything or someone, I don't know, someone far, far distant that doesn't know this person may end up with it. Who knows what happens to it? But at this point, that person just needs someone who cares, someone to help them maintain their dignity until their final day. So the impact of illness is truly going to show your compassion, your heart, and who you are. And if you're doing it just for gain, then shame on you. And that is not what God designed us to do. We are supposed to help and love our elders, the ones who are ill, the sick, among us, the disabled. We have to help these people because we never know when this will befall us, because we don't know what's going to cause us to leave this life or what's going to cause us to be ill. Those things, just happen. And when they happen, then we're going to be looking for someone to help us. And imagine if we found someone that was just like us. And that could be a great thing if you've been kind and loving, but it could be a horrible thing if you've just been someone who, you know, takes from those people that can't help themselves. So the impact of illness should truly touch your heart, to want to help someone, to make sure they have everything together, make sure that they feel loved and they're comfortable. But then also on the other side of it, what happens when they get well, or if they get well? Then you have truly shown that love can heal. Sometimes people are suffering from a broken heart and their body is taking that on. And it seems like an illness, to us because, they're suffering from, say, heart failure. It could be just because they hadn't had a hug. When is the last time you saw an elderly person that was just going on? You said, "Hey, how you doing? Can I just, give you a hug? Can I just speak life into you?" You realize what that could do for a person? For a person, especially who hadn't been outside of their home in months. They're afraid to leave their home because if they leave, they think that people are waiting to take what they have. You know how sad, that is? And how amazing it would be if someone were to just come along and offer a kind and caring word, a hug, a meal, something just to let them know that they're not forgotten. Illness can turn around in those cases. But if they don't, make sure that you are prepared. All right? Thank you so much for taking time out to watch this episode of Embracing the Fight, the impact of the illness. I want you all, as always, to have an absolutely amazing day.